Hip hop and drum and bass MC. Over 30 million streams across Spotify alone. Guinness World Record holder. Part of SAS, Triple Threat, Roadblock, and now part of the High Focus roster. Harry-Shotta. This is Killa Kela, High Focus Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here. I go by the name of Killa Kela, pioneer beatboxer and street culture archivist of his time. This is the High Focus Podcast, focusing on all talent and acts, superior on the platform and the record label. Today we have a very, very special occasion, event, a guest in the house, part of his Odyssey, no less. With collaborations alongside the 4 Owls, Terry Walker, Graf, Spider, Rag and Bioman, Shabba D, X-Men, P Money, Screw Fizzer. How many more do you want on your album? It's the album Odyssey. Harry-Shotta in the building.
What's going on, brother? It's all good, man. Good to be here, man. You know, it's family tree round here, but this is the first High Focus one, so yeah.
It's a proper blessing, isn't it?
Yeah, man. And you know how mad it is? Let me tell the people this. The first voice, you get to hear on the whole album is this guy here. So it's only right we document this thing properly, man.
Hey, listen, we're starting to go on.
Before me. It's my thing, man. So it's all
that did cross my mind, to be fair. I thought it was a real liberty, Kells, out here.
Nah, but you know, it's only right because you're the guy out here now. I think over the years there's been certain voices and tastemakers and people that have really ushered in the talent and supported the talent. And you're one of the main guys now, so it's only right that you were on that position on the album, man, to bring it in,
Enough
man.
respect, my brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Here's family tree here. You and me go back a long way, and it'd be very, very easy for me to overindulge in our own personal experiences on stage.
Yeah.
But for the viewers out there, I think it's highly important we get into Harry-Shotta, break the back of Odyssey, which you'll see behind you.
There it is there.
Beautiful thing here. The face, the brand. I try and replicate that. I dare you. Let's crack on, man. The album is very retrospective. It's almost it has 2 or 3 lanes running simultaneously.
That's right.
First of all, you got the hip hop.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
then it rolls into the drum and bass and the more hybrid.
Yeah.
But then throughout the whole thing is this line of communication regarding past, present, future. I'm not sure how much that is picked up on by the viewer. I mean, please send your comments right now. Let us know what's going on. We've also got some guests inside the place that are going to jump up in due course. But yeah, this very personal attention to detail on family, on upbringing, it's ladled throughout every track. Was that an intention?
Absolutely an intention, man. When I went into this particular project, I was like, yo, if I'm gone tomorrow or if I'm gone next year, this piece of art right here, which you can see the blue sky vinyl there, this is what I want to leave behind for people to remember me by. This is what I want when people say, what's Harry-Shotta all about? I want them to be able to play this and they get it. From my love of hip-hop to the losses, to the gains, to the celebrations and the joy of family life and the joy of being in this music for so long and, you know, being able to collaborate with such great artists. I want people to understand exactly who I am through these 21 tracks, which is why it is 21 tracks, because you can't do that on an EP, you can't do that on a single.
No.
You know, and I want them to know musically that, you know, I came from this, which is essentially a hip-hop, almost boom bap background, but, you know, I grew through the lineage of UK music into jungle, drum and bass, grime, garage, you know, even drill. There's melodic drill on this album, do you know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
There's, you know, and I'm someone who's always I've been a sponge of this UK music and American hip-hop as well. I've been a sponge and I've assimilated everything to create what you see on this vinyl now and what you hear when you press play on this album. You know, so this is the ultimate project for me. And the reason I really wanted to do it, I said it to a few people, but the reason I really wanted to do this was because when, sadly, you know, Skibbity passed, of course, always, God. Man, I realised that we are not here forever. And I was always saying, I want to make this album. I've got to make this album, my ultimate hip hop album. I've got to go back to the roots because, you know, essentially that's what I listen to.
Yeah.
You know, you know me, I'm a music junkie, man. So I'm tapping into your Conways and your Griseldas and, you know, the Wu-Tang album that just dropped. I'm into that. So, but I haven't got my piece that's in that.
In that frame.
In that frame, I need my piece in that frame because that's me, man. So, you know, the way it came about was Fliptrix messaged me. about a year ago. No, man, I think it's 2 years ago now. Actually, 2 years ago, and said
it was a while ago.
So it was 2 years ago that he messaged me and said, "We'd love for you to come and play at our Christmas party, the High Focus Christmas party." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm down, man. Let's do it." I thought he wanted me to come and play some hip hop stuff. He goes, "Nah, do some drum and bass."
I see the videos on that. They look fucking crazy.
Crazy. Shout out to the High Focus gang. You lot are incredible. So we went down there. Big up Iron Lung. We went down there. We basically did a drum and bass set, and it went off. And that showed me the synergy between my audience and the High Focus audience. You know, a lot of people who have been tapped into the High Focus catalogue and the 4 Hours and Ocean Wisdom, they're also really into drum and bass as well. And they, you know, over the years, I've had messages from people saying to me, "Oh, imagine you on a High Focus," and it's always been a little thing. And I'm like, okay, so we done the show, and it was great. And Skinny Man jumped up, and Spice, and everybody, and Leaf Dog got on the mic, and it was an incredible half hour. It was like it was one of those moments, and it was like, ding, okay, well. Let me talk to Flip Tricks, because I think it's time now to make this album. And if I'm going to do this album, I only want to do it with High Focus, man. We had the conversation, you know, Flip Tricks was like, right, let me talk to the rest of the team. He spoke to the team. We came back and they said, look, we're fully on board. We'll fully support you in terms of getting the production. We'll fully support you in terms of getting the features you want. And yeah, let's go for it, man. Let's do this album. And then, you know, we are here, the Odyssey.
I bet you, I mean, the luck of drawing in all these artists, it does come from a lineage of history and, you know, real, genuine love and passion for the culture. These aren't like your normal go-tos. These are people that have fundamentally helped shape and were a part of your career.
Exactly.
Through the distance.
Exactly, man.
So getting into that, so put my feet up first, June.
Yeah.
Right. You
getting comfy on it again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, apart from the seminal intro that we've just mentioned here.
The incredible intro.
I mean, who would be without it? You mentioned something within your bars about Ninja. The Red Ninja.
Yeah.
Let's start where we need to go on here, because that was pretty much your entry in of hip hop.
As a child, as literally a child, not a teenager, a child, 10 years old, one taking booths in the dungeon with the ninjas. That's what it was. There's a crew called Red Ninja, you know, very, very celebrated UK hip hop crew, but also very underground, not so out there as some as the others. They was in the shadows, you know what I'm saying? They was quite controversial in their interviews and all that, you know what I mean? You know, so like, you know, it was you know, rolling with them, they welcomed me in. Shout out to Dave, you know, he brought me into those guys. He was friends with some of those guys. He brought me in, and then you are in the dungeons layer, you know what I mean? It's time to sink or swim, you know? You got this whole idea that you can rap and everything, but now you've got to rap in front of 3 big guys in the booth.
It's like, hello.
And you've got to prove yourself, so it's like...
So how old are you at that time?
10 years of age, man. So that's why I say I was one taking booths in the dungeon with the ninjas. I don't actually say Red Ninja, but that's exactly who I meant. Do you know what I'm saying? And that is dojo time, bro. That is like, you know, like I say, sink or swim. You got to deliver. And I always wanted to one take my verses. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm a bit more relaxed now. I can chill a bit
as a 10-year-old,
but even now, I'm still a bit like, I don't want to do it too many times.
No, because it kills the vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kills the vibe. So I want to go in and smash it. And that's what I always used to do on my sessions with them. And that's what created the whole sort of like, whoa, this little kid, man, he's got the ting, man.
I mean, big up Dave from the jump. He's been by your side, bruv. I cannot fathom the idea of a young 10-year-old jumping into the fire that way, and holding court.
But I love it. That's one thing about me. I love pressure. I love being on that thing of like, I don't want to be too comfortable. Do you know what I mean? I always want to rap with the best. I always want to be on the best beats. I don't want to be around MCs who are maybe a bit, you know, not quite there yet. Or like, I like working with people. I love working now. I've become a bit more of a mentor with certain people. And of course, I can develop younger talent and all that. Yeah, but in terms of my own personal MC skills and what I want to do as an artist, I want to be around the best. So that time it was them. It went on later on to be people like Funster, who I still work with, do you know what I'm saying? Then it went on to be, you know, obviously people like Skibber and then the SASAS thing. And then, you know, even back in the days, there was people like Fury, who was like wicked rapper smashing up everywhere. I wanted to be in cyphers with him.
Bruv,
I just wanted to be around the best, man.
Yeah.
That's what I just want, because I know that if I'm around the best, they're going to make me up my levels.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be comfortable, man.
Yeah, I feel you. Lethal was the MC name.
Exactly,
And, a young Killa Kela seeing you in Represent magazine, which was an early, well, I guess it was to rival Hip Hop Connection in a more underground way.
Shout out to them guys,
big
man.
up Represent magazine. You can still find your copies on eBay and any rare publications. But, bruv, like when I see someone my age, give or take, holding a basketball with his vinyl, wearing exactly what I was wearing, doing exactly what I was doing. I mean, it just connected with me.
It connected, yeah.
Connected. And going back to what you were saying about, influencing the best, I dare say me along with a lot of other people saw that and thought to themselves, hey, there's me there. I see that.
Yeah, you're doing the same thing. You was in probably Brighton at the time.
Yeah.
And you was probably following the exact same journey in your own path, doing the beatbox thing and all that. And I was finding my feet within rhyming and everything else. And this was 90s, isn't it? So
it's
you
like, you were about 16, 17,
which was the great. I mean, I think you're talking about. I was 15 around that time. Yeah, and you're talking about probably the greatest era to be in hip hop for me. Anyway,
totally,
do you know what I mean? It's incredible.
We'll come back to that in a bit. So onwards to the next tune wasn't easy. I mean, I think for anyone listening that holds and bears any relativity to that, it's not your easiest of listens, really. It's a different kind of Harry. Yeah,
it's not your easiest of listens, but it's also, whenever I'm talking about past trauma or whenever I'm talking about issues that have been dealt with, and I've done this throughout my whole career, I've never left it that there's a negative. I always leave on the positive. So with even in that story, yes, there was family issues. Yes, there was abuse. Yes, there was certain religious stuff going on that totally wasn't me, that I was being forced to do. There was all these kind of things. Yes, there were things, you can't play with these kids anymore because they're not in the same religion. All this madness I was dealing with. There was, the want of being with my mum and having to live all those miles away and only seeing her every 2 weeks. There was all of that. But the positive was the music, the hip hop. That's what, that's why I say in the record, hip hop saved me. You know what I mean? It gave me something when everything else was falling down. I could go in that room, put on, whoever I was listening to at the time, KRS, Nas, whoever, and just like learn those bars, gain, power from those bars, then go to school the next day, spit those bars in the playground and get everyone pumping my fist and saying, I'll do that again, or like, and I'll be sometimes like, nah, I don't want to do it, and be like, I'll give you 20p. We're like, oh, 20p, there's a hustle here. Learn the hustle from early, do you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, cool, man, I'll do it for 20p, you know what I mean? And then you're walking out of school with a couple of quid, you know what I mean?
Packet of Tom-Toms and things like that.
All of that, man, sweets and that back in the day, do you know what I mean? But that, so hip-hop, was like, and that's the whole purpose of that tune. Yes, growing up it wasn't easy, but the hip hop and the avenue through music saved me from sort of being more traumatized. And then as things went on, I moved to Kent and I lived there from 11 right through to now. I'm still in Kent now, and from then it was great. But hip hop got me through a very turbulent period, and that's what the song's about. So the song is a celebration of going through some hard shit. But coming out the other side of it even stronger. Because what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what it is.
With the sentiment, it's retrospective. It wasn't easy for you, and there's a sentiment to you say it. You say, what would my younger self say?
Oh yeah, seeing me now on a stage, empowered, like delivering to like all thousands of people, and people hitting me up, and this is the get back of this stuff. People hitting you up and saying, you got me through some hard times with the words, and that's why I always try and lead by example. That's why I always try and go out on a positive and not just like say, well, this is how it is. And I get everyone's got their own story and everyone's got their own story to tell on their journey. But me personally, I always want to show you the hardship, the trauma, but also what can be born out of that, which is something positive.
Did a lot of your bars of that time, because what often, God, some kids don't have that creative outlet. Yeah. Some young people just, deal with it in many different ways. And fortunately, hip-hop culture, street culture in general, aids all sorts of creative opportunity. Man. But you go through those times creating a persona of hip-hop that at the same time you're getting a credit to in the playground.
Yeah, exactly, man. The adulation of performing bars and what that gives you, and that confidence it gives you when you're maybe not so confident and you're quite a shy person. suddenly through this performance,
Yeah.
you get confidence and it gives you something to carry you through life, man.
I'm curious to know what Harry Shotta would have done had it not been for hip hop.
I don't know, man, because I'm rubbish at football. Even though I'm a massive football fan, I'm rubbish at that. Just kick people down, can't play it properly. You know, I would have done something with words, I think. I would have done something with words because words, I see the power in words, and I was always good at English at school and more creative kind of subject as opposed to maths and science and facts and figures. So I think I would have done something with words, man.
Yeah.
But without hip hop, you'll never know because that was my calling. That was my, you know, that was my journey. That is it.
Yeah.
The
It's a
raps and the
religious
bars.
experience, isn't it?
It is, man, 100%. It's deeper than, you know, liking it. It's deeper than, you know, feeling like, oh, I just like the sound of that. I love the whole feel of it. Like, you know what I mean? I am, like KRS says, I am the living embodiment of hip hop right here. And through drum and bass and jungle, because that's all sisters and cousins of this thing as well.
For real.
I'm not alienating that. That's been a huge part of my journey as well. Do you know what I'm saying? But to me, that's a branch of the same tree.
Influences of that time. Let's, you know, a young Harry Shotta. Who were you influenced by? Who were the people that were really
In that period?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Nas, it's Wu-Tang, do you know what I'm saying? It's EPMD, it's Nice and Smooth, it's Black Moon, it's Smith & Wesson, it's that, you know, Tim's, and it's more New York, but don't get it twisted. When Dre and Snoop came out, I was all over that. That was like, oi, the West Coast is on now. Although I liked Ice-T and those Ice Cube, but when those guys came out, that was like, boy. And then hip-hop suddenly, you know, I started to be more open to UK hip-hop, for instance, because I started to hear people telling UK stories in the UK accent. You know what I mean? That was incredible from the, you know, your London Posses, Demon Boys, Hard Noise. Then I'm like, this UK thing is moving right now. So I started to get massive influence off that, huge influence off that, in terms of people spitting in UK accents and telling their story, and even people up in Nottingham. Out the Ville, showing me what it's like in Nottingham. Mr.
Big up Big
4-5.
Trev. Come on.
Mr. 4-5,
Yeah,
Radford,
Mr.
you get me?
4-5.
He's showing me what Radford's like. And I don't know Radford. You know what I mean? I'm in Gravesend, I don't know Radford. But through his song, I get to know what Radford's like. Do you know what I mean? So now I'm getting all these stories from the UK about what's going on in different boroughs and counties across the UK through the music.
Communication before the internet. It was
Before internet, you're hearing it through the music.
real news.
It's like, I felt like I knew what Queensbridge was because of Mobb Deep. I used to put Mobb Deep on and I'd be in Queensbridge. I'd shut my eyes, I'd be there. You know what I mean? Or I'd listen to Dre and Snoop and I'd be on the West Coast. And you'd see the video and you're like, that's the lifestyle. Okay, cool. So you're you're getting a world view. A world view from your bedroom in the UK because of hip hop.
Fucking
And
right.
that makes you more open to cultures, different opinions, different ideas. You're not downsized and you're not in a tunnel vision of this is who I am. You're like, I'm sponging everything in and I'm taking all this in and it's making me a better person. It's making me understand different religions. Because back in the day, hip hop, you know, there was a lot of talk about different religions. There was a lot of talk about injustice,
politics, straight politics.
And these were the sort of things you look into, especially me as a young child. And I'm like, right, that's what happened. So they're exposing me to history. They're exposing me to politics, and it shapes you as a person. And then you move with the culture, and you take that into your everyday life, and then you almost teach your children that. You know what I mean? So it's like hip hop's very powerful, man.
That's crazy. Well, privileges of growing up with the knowledge and understanding.
Yeah, because like, and
and
that's the power of hip hop, man. It's not just the power of hip hop; it's the power of music as well. Because music has always brought about change. You know, whether it's Bob Dylan, whether it's Jimi Hendrix, whether it's the Rolling Stones, whether it's Bob Marley, it's always ushered in change, and it's always ushered in more of a revolutionary mind state and a subversive mind state to what's going on.
It's the best.
And it sparks interest in people. Your Public Enemy sparked interest in
Rage
people.
Against the Machine, Spark.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
NWA, Spark. Nothing compares to Ice Cube.
That's what I'm saying.
And his intro bar on Straight Outta Compton. I mean, his verse with the delivery on video, Ice Cube, that made his career.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know,
verse,
it's funny you say that because I was just listening to Noriega saying that he thought that when he heard Straight Outta Compton, he thought Compton was a jail because the way they described it, and he was in New York and he didn't have any idea what Compton was. So yet again, as a Queensbridge rapper, hearing those guys, he was like, well, is Compton a jail? Because it sounds like a jail.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
Ironically.
Hip-hop has exposed so many young people to so many different areas, so many different ways of living, so many different cultures that we're so forward thinking now that anything that's backward, we're just like, nah, I ain't trying to hear that.
No, that's right. That's right. Yeah, no flies on us. High Focus is the stable. And they've got a plethora of different artists, many of whom have on the Odyssey album right now, and one majorly prolific from inception to now is Mr. Rag and Bone Man with the tune Imposter alongside P Money and Spider. How? How does that come about? How did that even happen?
I'll explain, man. So with the evolution of the album, the first sort of part of the album, I did a lot of boom bap records. I did a lot of stuff with Leaf Dog and a lot of stuff with King Kashmir, and that was the foundation of the album. There's 6 to 7 songs that are on the album, and those two guys really crafted that element of the album between the two of them. And we got to that stage, and those tracks are in the bag, and everyone's loving it. And but then those guys, Tom and Fliptrix, were like, "But there's another side to Harry Shotta. You know, this is the hip hop, but there is the genre blurring. There is the double time. There is the Guinness World Record. There is SSS.
Guinness World Record, you know."
Sliding in.
This ain't a basic shit.
There is these other elements to the story.
Yeah.
And if you're making an Odyssey album, then it wouldn't be right for it to be purely 90 to 100 BPM style records that, you know, because that's a part, but it's not the all. So we need to get you in with some different producers now. And they came up with Forrest DLG, who's an incredible producer who ended up producing 5 to 6 joints on the album. And they came up with Metrodome from Manchester. And the particular case of Imposter, Metrodome come with this beat, and all I heard was, this is like taking me back to Boy in the Corner Dizzy, man. This is like that rawness, because that's a seminal album to me, that Dizzy album. That I lived with that album for a whole year, and even to this day, it's probably one of the best UK landmark albums. Hands down. So shout out to Dizzy.
The way it came out at the same time as, you know, original Pirate Material and all these different.
It was a part of a whole movement. Do you know what I mean? So I heard that in my head. I heard Dizzy, and I was like, right. So let me just murk a verse. Did a verse. You know, it's the same verse you hear on it now. Then I was like, right, I hear P Money on this.
Wait a minute. Can we just talk about the verse for a second?
Yeah, you can talk about the verse.
Right, where's the breath? How does this even work?
Well,
Mr. Guinness World Record man.
I'm working out a way to do that verse on drum and bass at the moment.
Yeah.
And there is certain little... it's breath control, isn't it, man?
It is crazy.
You do have to work on breath control sometimes.
Breathing.
Even for me, I want to do that verse live on drum and bass now because it's the same tempo on the right beats. Wow. But it is something...
it can be done.
It is something I'm sitting at home just on a technical level and just working on, like, how can I get a breath in here because I want to spit the whole verse. Because Spider, randomly at the video shoot, he was like, spit this to this, spit that verse to this. And he just quickly got his camera out and he pulled a beat up. And I had to quickly do the verse on drum and bass. And I was like, oh, that can work on drum and bass, actually. So I was like, so yeah. But it is a thing, like, that's one thing about the technical MC. And I don't make it easy for myself. That's another thing.
No, I don't think you do.
So
I mean,
this goes back to sometimes, man. I'll be in the booth and I'll be like, yo, I've done it again, and I this little 4 bar or this little 8 bar
it's a good idea at the time.
It's going to take me about 20 minutes to do, but it will be worth it.
But I think
and then I'll learn it and it'll be fire.
Yeah, and this, speaking personally and knowing you very, very well as a practitioner in this, and going back to the Guinness World Records, no less, I almost think that you do it on purpose to yourself. Yeah. I don't know how. I still struggle to know how you keep all of these bars after all these decades catalogued, so that you just pull them out. I mean, that verse on Imposter, that's not basic by any stretch, and it's not the kind of thing you could, for my money, you can't just give it to anybody and let them go for it.
That's not something you could ghostwrite for someone. That's a shot of verse. There's some stuff, I mean, I've quite enjoyed working with other people over the years and collaborating with them on verses to help them with their stuff and all that. You know what I mean? That's a different story, but that is for me. That's for me, man. That's for me trying to up my levels. Yeah. And then, like I said, you know, when you put down a verse like that, you're like, right, the levels are high. Like, who else can jump on this record? Because to me, it wasn't a 3-verse harry-shotta record. It was one of those songs where you needed 3 different MCs bringing 3 different contrasts.
But I love the arrangements of it. The arrangement of the tune is wicked. So what you're saying is you had the verse and you sent it to the guys.
Sent it to P Money first.
Right, so I'd love to have been a fly on the wall for that one.
So I sent it to P, and let's give P his flowers, man.
Big up P.
He is literally, like,
bad verse.
To me, honestly, one of the greatest, and I don't say that lightly. He's done it over time, and he deserves his flowers, and he's one of the greatest, most versatile MCs
his diction,
we have in the UK.
Lay on the beat.
Because he can jump on anything. Grime, obviously, he comes from grime, but he does the drum and bass now. And a lot of people tried to come from grime to drum and bass, and it didn't really work out. With P, he fit it like a glove. Do you know what I'm saying? So that was someone, you know, we've done loads of stuff together over the years, and it's someone I see about all the time, and it's a good relationship. So I was like, let me get P on it. So he's like, yeah, this is fire, I can do this. fired his verse back in about 2 weeks. So we had the P verse, and I was like, oh my God, he's destroyed it. He's absolutely killed the middle verse. He's gone mad.
Yeah.
So then it's like, my mind as someone who's piecing together a record, I want the record to be perfect. So we don't need a double time crazy hook. We need something totally different.
Kind of laying
from
on
what we've
it.
done.
Yeah.
Right?
Because I know it's the snare changes and everything.
Exactly.
It's a different kind of, it's almost like a breakdown to build up again.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's when you're, it's like DJs, you know, the best DJs, they take people on a journey. It isn't just bang, 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 bang. It's like bang, 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 breakdown, maybe a vocal. Hard to get, you know what I mean? So you take people on a journey, it's not all the same thing, and it's the dynamics that people relate to and people love. So I was like, right, that's what we've got to create on this record. So I was like, who's the UK Nate Dogg? Who is the voice of the UK music for a long time, not just now? Who is that voice? That's Spider.
Mr. Tarantula.
It's Spider.
The Spider, man.
And you say Tarantula because that's a hit record he had with Pendulum years ago. But look now where he is with bass layers.
I know, crazy.
Look what he's doing,
Crazy.
tearing it up all over the world with bass layers, pioneering yet again, leading on from what SAS did. Now bass layers are leading on from that.
That's insane in itself.
Yeah.
Especially when you, and again, going back to, you know, the way people entry in on any genre, it's those vocals, going back to Nate Dogg. You never forget where you first hear Nate Dogg.
No.
And it's the same with Spider. Hail up Spider, 100%.
Yeah. To me, he is that guy. Like, he is that. There's no other voice like him. There's no other presence like him. There's no other style like him. So just like certain man back in the day would have like, we need that Nate Dogg. What's Nate want for this thing? Like, it's not like that with me and Spider. Me and Spider are cool, but do you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, that's what I needed. He's like, I've got you, King. And he's such a hard worker. Within 2 days, he sent me 2 hooks. And I was like...
What, two different ones?
2 different hooks. He said, which one do you like? And
Where's the other hook?
The other hook was probably fire. It was probably fire, but I needed more of a classic... That hook he did is more of a, like, classic drum and bass Shadow Demon hook.
Okay, got you.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, you know his... the bars he does, balaclava. Can't see my face, balaclava.
Big tune.
Exactly. So then, when you think about it, imposter. You know what I mean? It's that same thing to tap into that people can relate to.
Yes.
Same sort of cadence.
Cadence, see?
Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's what it was. So I was
the
like...
kind of words we like on podcasts.
I said, that's the one we want. So we had that, and then it's like, okay, third verse. And I spoke to the guys, and I was like, should I do the third verse? And they was like, you could. It would still be dope. It's you, P Money, and Spider, but let's try and take it up a notch. And then I sent it to a very, 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 very high profile UK MC who I've got a lot of love for, and it wasn't for him, but he absolutely loved it. And he said, I'm gonna turn down on this one. And then we thought, okay, so who else can we get? And I spoke to the guys, and they said, what about Rag and Bone Man? You know, we've got a relationship with Rag and Bone Man, the high focus lineage, all the stuff he's done over the years with the label, with Leaf and everything else. And I was like, well, that would be incredible. And the reason I was even more down to do that was because during lockdown, Rag and Bone Man hit me up on the Twitter or the X, whatever you want to call it now, and said like, yo, I'd love to work with you.
Woo! Okay,
Yeah,
so there was already
we'd already
bringing,
reached out. We'd already spoken. It didn't happen at that time for whatever reason. So I always knew there was a connection. Yeah. So then when we sent him the record, he was like, I want to do it. I want to jump on this song. I have to be on this record. He rang me, like he got my number off the guys. He rang me, we had a conversation. He's like, listen, man, I'm on tour, but I will go to a studio as soon as I can and do this for you. Like I'm on a massive tour, but when he landed in Dublin, off his own back, he went to the studio on his tour, recorded the verse, sent it back, and I was just like, when I heard it, I was like,
yo,
he went in.
That's crazy.
But he went in. This is the thing. It's not... You know, everyone knows Rag and Bone Man's one of the biggest, most successful streaming artists ever from the UK. He's up there, like, when you look at his stats and that, he's incredible.
Yeah.
And but his love for the music and his love for the culture and his particular love for jumping on this record, and what he said was like being on a song with the Avengers. That's what he said.
Okay, that's a good analogy.
That's what he said.
That's
man.
hard.
And I think that brought the best out of him as a rhymer, because we know what he could do as a vocalist, but there's what he's doing with the syllables and the pockets and even some of the bars, like he goes, your mate got lad like MOP ad-libs, like that's for the heads. That's for the heads, you know what I mean? So he absolutely came through, and then we had the record, man. It was like, yo, this has got to be, you know, it had to come out at a certain time, and you know, big up everyone who turned up for the video, because the guys came through with full energy. It was an early start. We did 3 different locations. It was a full day.
It's a fucking sick video. I mean, all of these videos for the album have just been, you know, one success after another. Like the levels in which you approached them.
Yeah.
And also, and I say that because what I love about projects is when they have the DNA running alongside them. You know, the texture, the feel, the energy, which is something that High Focus obviously hail up, because that's very much in their
they're really good at that, man. In terms of like, one thing I'll say about them, working with them, because I haven't worked with a label for years. I've been doing my independent thing quite a lot, but with them, they're so hands-on, and you know, like Tom and the guys and Fliptrix, they'll be like, oh, they'll listen to something, they'll be like, oh, they'll go crazy about a bar, and it's like, you know, in terms of A&Rs and record labels, we're very distrusting of them in a certain sense, and not High Focus, but like labels in general. But these guys actually love the music. They've got a passion for the music. You know, Fliptrix is an artist himself who's proven he's got a love for the music over the years with all his catalogue and everything else. And it's a pleasure to work with them because we're doing it as a labour of love, which is one of the singles. Do you know what I'm saying? But also we're trying to just push the levels up and just create some great music, man.
Yeah. Circling back round to Rag and Bowman and the scenario that he was in Dublin and recorded his vocals then, it's relative to yourself. I would imagine that he got off the idea of just doing something different than maybe what, monotony would be the wrong word, but the repetition of going live and doing your gigs.
Okay, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, oh, you know what, I've got an opportunity
It's a
to be
curveball, isn't
creative.
it, man?
Yeah, totally.
Total curveball, yeah.
How do you manage this? I know how you manage it, but how do you, to the people that don't know, how do you manage going live, doing shows? Because you do like 5 shows a weekend, sometimes more if you can.
Sometimes on the big Easters and the bank holidays.
How do you get to create an album of such variety and concept? How are you able to jump from live to studio?
I've had conversations with this. That's interesting, because I've had conversations with it about certain MCs. They need to be locked off from the live to hone into an album project. Whereas me, I never turn the switch off, man. I never ever turn the switch off. If there's no beats there, I might pull up Murder by Kalashnikov and just write a nasty verse and throw it on Instagram because I need to feed my own thing of like, I got to do this.
So you use that as a kind of prep work too.
And also, like, you come off the back of a weekend and you meet loads of great people and everyone's like, oh, you know, I love it when you did this or that, and you get the energy off the audience and you take all that energy, you put it into that verse on a Monday, or it's like, right, it's Monday now, little one's at school, I can just literally zone in on these tunes, I've got 6 hours or whatever, I'm going in. I'm going in. Like, you know, it's like it's not a chore. It's never a chore. Like, getting into the car and going to shows is never a chore. No matter how many hours it is, because people always think, oh yeah, that hour, but it's not that hour. Sometimes you're on the road for like 10 hours, and then you're doing 2 shows, so it's like 12 hours, and then you might have to get up the next day and do something. You know what I mean? So it's not as simple as like, oh, you're just smashing these shows, and it's like then you just magically go back into your bed. No, that's not how it works. You know what I'm saying?
You've got to love the process as well.
I love the process, and I love the process of being on the road. I love the process of being in the studio, and I love the process of writing and creating. As soon as I hear beats that I love, that's what Leaf Dog got me with, really. Like, Leaf Dog, one of the first people to send me beats. Big up Leaf, man. One of the first people to send me beats of this album. It wasn't easy, and Salute, which are 2 of the real kind of, you know, deeper emotive tracks on the album. And he said to me, he goes, I wanted to send you classics. I wanted to send you records that would bring out tales and stories from you that no one else is going to bring. And he said, and that was my whole, he goes, I didn't just send you a bunch of, it's not just like, there's my beat pack, pick what you want. He goes, I thought, what does Shotta need? And that's what he gave me, and those 2 records, and alongside King Kashmir, they really was the first, you know, the whole jolt with the whole album. You know what I mean? That's what set the standards.
Sick. Well, we're going to be talking about King Kashmir in a bit. But
shout out to King Kashmir.
Yeah, we got some special guests coming up. You understand? While we're on the subject of being in and out and active as possible and live and in studio, we do have the Bad Boy soundtrack. Which has some of your stable MC friends and confidants, the X-Men and the Shabba D.
Yeah.
Talk to me. I mean, that is one hell of a lineup.
That is.
And
I don't think that's ever been on a record before, X-Man, Shotta and Shabba.
No.
Either, do you know what I mean?
No.
So that's a first as well,
which
is always nice.
Yeah.
To get a first.
We need a legacy artist, all 3 of you, just piling on this track.
You know, we've all put some bricks into this thing, definitely, in terms of building the wall. Yeah, 100%.
Does that, how was the approach on that?
That, yet again, was them, you know, me linking up with Forest DLG, which I touched on earlier, and the beats he sent me, that Labour of Love, very kind of genre blurring in terms of the sound.
Love it.
Like, you know what I mean? There's elements of jungle, there's elements of breakbeat.
You can hear it's his production. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, exactly, man. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and he put the sample in, the bad boy sound. For bad boy. So as soon as I heard that, I'm like, what's the bad boy sound? It's jungle. It's jungle. And even before drum and bass, this is what we started on, was jungle. Even if we wasn't MCing to it, like me personally, I didn't come in jungle like as a professional MC, but that's what I listened to. Do you know what I mean? Ragga Twins, Moose, 5-0, Navigator, Ron, Brocky. Do you know what I'm saying?
Send them up,
you know
Frosty,
what I mean? Like,
come on.
So Jumping Jack Frost, of course,
record,
Brian G,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So that is what we kind of, you know, was served up and just like, you know what I mean? You know, that was the incredible sound.
Big up Adam F as well.
Big up Adam F, you know what I mean? That was the bad boy sound. So I'm like hearing that hook, bad boy sound. So let me now tell you my story of jungle drum and bass. You know, first heard that sound in a distance, far away, but that beeline hooked me, mesmerized me, hypnotized me. So I followed that sound wherever it took me. New dimensions I was exposed to from the underground truly shook me. I was a junglist, OJ soldier, way before them promoters booked me. And that's the truth. I was a junglist. I was in the raves. I was fully there. Stratford Rex, MC convention.
Getting them bars for free, you know.
Jungle
No.
Fever, Hastings Pier. Do you know what I'm saying?
Hastings Pier.
All of that.
Wow.
I was there bunking the train, you know what I mean? I was doing all of that. I was there, Pyromaniacs on a Sunday, you know what I mean? I was One Nation. I was going Milton Keynes. I was doing that while I was doing hip-hop. Why you see me doing that stuff, or maybe a bit later in the Represent and stuff like that, but why you see me doing the hip-hop, maybe with Skits and P and that, I was in the raves,
Crazy.
bubbling, taking it all in.
So
you
good.
know, watching Skibber and Shabba and being like, yo, it's mad watching UK MCs control a crowd like this when you're used to sort of going to hip-hop gigs, and even how good the support act is, they're just there for the Americans. They don't really care. Do you know what I'm saying? And the difference I saw watching drum and bass jungle MCs was like, the crowd are in the palm of their hands.
Different kind,
you know what I
different
mean?
philosophy and how to present it.
Because it's all UK, you're not competing with nothing else.
And they all were influenced by, you know, the hip hop of its time as well.
Of course, man.
So it's
Hip hop,
like,
ragga, reggae, everything. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, the bad boy sound is literally, you know, so I told my particular story and journey of jungle drum and bass, and then I thought, you know what? It's not a personal thing, it's a shared experience. So, you know, two of my favourites, two of the guys that I've worked with so much over the years, X-Man, got so much respect for. You know, we've done the Fireworks records, but, you know, we're
Gonna
really...
be champion as X-Man.
Yeah, we're really good friends, man. He's one of my favourite lyricists in the game. And then Shabba, like, you know, is someone, you know, he's family now, do you know what I'm saying? Through just being on the road and all the experiences we've had and all the highs and lows we've had to share together.
Of course, bro.
Do you know what I'm saying? And obviously, yeah, again, someone I used to see in raves just come on and just be like, Shabba, can you record that? Like, just murder the dance, do you know what I mean?
Drill
Like,
sergeant. Actually,
incredible.
drill sergeant. Absolute drill sergeant.
Oh mate, the energy he used to bring to a rave, and still does, you know what I mean? But when I was watching as a, you know, a spectator, was just like incredible, and it was something to learn. Again, like the power of getting up there with energy and not getting up there with your head down and being like, yeah, I'm gonna spit my bars. No, I'm coming up here full command, Shabba the lyrical dapper. When I'm on a mic, I deal with the matter. Boom. Do you know what I mean? That's why he's a general out here. That's why we call him the world boss. You know what I mean?
The
world boss.
Well, while we're on the subject, we've got Shabba in. So, Shabba, if you're there, give us a heads up, give us a hail up. How was it working on the album? What was your feelings on working within the drum and bass field, but on a hip-hop beat?
My feature on the Odyssey album for Harry-Shotta, what was the process of me writing my lyrics? Was it immediate, or was it, you know, did I have things to take into consideration writing the bars? So yeah, obviously Shotta sent me the rhythm. I heard the rhythm, I was like, yeah, bang. And then he sent me one with the chorus and I think a verse on it as well to get the vibe. And I sort of worked off the back of what Shotta did. Like, obviously it was the whole legacy thing and going right through from the jungle days up until the present. So yeah, I kind of heard the rhythm and then I was just vibing on it in my car. I wrote something I think I wrote about, you know, 8 bars or something like that. And then I was just vibing. And yeah, it just comes to me, man. This natural writing skills, you know what I mean? I just vibe on the rhythm and then, yeah, kind of just the first couple of ideas that come to my head, I kind of just jot down. And with this one, I wanted it to be a little bit extra special. So I just kind of trying to get all the spectrum into 116 bars. It's not easy to do, but I think I covered quite a lot of my verse as well. So yeah, that's how it come about. It weren't immediate. It was kind of vibing off the rhythm, laying a little something down, and then working from there. And then when I put my head to it, and actually got down to writing and being in that zone, I just come up with the vibe, man. Big up.
Big up Shabba every single time. A good friend of mine too, and brother, like SAS, legendary crew of its of our time.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely done. You know, the crew was something that came together totally organically, but was also a bunch of friends who did work together, who did all respect each other, who did respect each other's pens, who did respect each other's commitment to the stage and delivering something incredible, you know what I mean? And that's why the dynamics of it exploding onto one stage at that particular time was such an impact.
Yeah. I mean, it changed the shape of the way people... It changed the shape of how people receive MCing. In my humblest opinion, it was just packaged differently. It was just a different take on it. All of a sudden, the MCs became the forefront.
Yeah, and I think that was the first time that it became the forefront in the mainstream of the scene, and in terms of playing places like Creamfields and Glastonbury, and going to South Korea and doing the biggest stages in New Zealand and Australia. You know, the MC culture was always there, and it was always supreme, but it was never put at the front. Do you know what I'm saying? With SAS, it was literally, even though we had the Fantasy, the Mackie G, incredible, it was MCs were at the front and were pushing that kind of message and movement forward. And you know, like lots of times people didn't think that it would work, but it did. And then when it did work, people were like, well, now we want it, and we want it on everything, and we want it at every festival and everywhere we went, even if we was going on after grime, if we was going on after, you know, people without MCs, or if we was going on after American hip hop artists, which we did sometimes, you know what I mean, over in New Zealand and stuff, or, you know, every time it just created a powerful impact, man. And it was just a revolutionary time for the MCs, and it sort of, you know, brought in the other MC crews that all linked up and started doing more stuff. And yeah, it was great, man. You know, the camaraderie and all the memories we have as a unit, and you know, some stuff I'll treasure, man, for the rest of my life, man.
Bro, I mean, you're the passenger of a very seldom few that experience such personal encounters with these MCs.
Of course, man. Yeah, 100%.
And then the Mic Masters.
Yeah, and the Mic Masters, obviously, we created that because, you know, everything goes in cycles, and you know, at that particular time, there was like the MCs were being hidden a bit and they weren't at the forefront so much. And it's cycles, man. It's cool. And I appreciate as a music lover that, you know, there's some forms of drum and bass that don't need an MC barring all the way through. You know what I mean? There's parts of it that don't need that. But there is another side of it that really works with that. When you get in sync with those drops and those DJs and it's all going off and you've got a really good MC that knows how to stop and pause and hold it down and come back in and smash it. It's a part of the culture that can never be lost. So Mic Masters was brought around to champion that, but also to sort of, you know, celebrate the new ones coming through. You know, your Wisers, your Westmans, your Tiny K's. You know, all these guys that, you know, if we don't sort of push the MC culture, could be forgotten and could have a harder way to get through to the audience 100%. Nowadays. So it was just to really celebrate MC culture, which we've done some great festivals, some great events like Fabric, and it's something that's going to continue, man, 100%.
High Focus sparing no expense on the vinyl here with Odyssey. Look at that. What colour? What do you call it?
They call it the Blue Sky vinyl.
Blue Sky.
And big up to everyone who's got yours, man, because so many people were hitting me up saying they got the vinyl, they got the limited edition, because these are limited edition, man. There's like 350 of these, so once they're gone, they're gone. There's 150 black vinyl.
Wow.
I think there's 50 tapes.
Colour on, baby.
My tape heads, and there's obviously 100 CDs as well, man. So,
that's sick.
You know, because I think that, you know, when you create something that's like, you know, to me, in my heart of hearts, a work of art, you want people to be able to hold it as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You want people to be able to put that on their wall sometimes, or you want people to be able to look back and say, look at the credits and, you know, all that kind of thing, you know. It's just something about the physical.
Yeah,
which is great. And they've always been about the physical, man. When you look at all the other stuff they've done, even new stuff, man, do you know what I'm saying? So, you know, they've always been pushing that. And I think that's been something that's like, you know, even in the age of the streaming era, that's something that's, you know,
the people
risen again.
We're here at High Focus HQ. We do nothing but legendary statuses. Here we have the 4 Owls, which goes back to the tune Legendary on the album, bruv. Wow. Where to begin? I mean, it kind of... It's quote unquote a given that you have to have 4 Owls, Flip Tricks, Verb T, Leaf Dog, any of these guys within there with it. But the way that it came off on Legendary. Big up Jazz T as well, by the way.
Big up Jazz, man. He done bare cuts on the album in the end.
Yeah, and again, it amplifies your position, your role within a sequence of MCs because the individuality of what you bring, alongside these other dons, shone through. But it was just awesome to hear a different perspective on the album.
Totally, man.
It's very relative to High Focus, and their audience.
Yeah, man, because Fliptrix sparked that one. Fliptrix did his verse. He sent it to me. He goes, "What do you think about this for the album?" And I thought, "Oh wow, I'm getting that 4 hours vibe now, boy. I'm getting it. I wanted this. This was one piece of the puzzle that was not here."
Yeah.
And he sent it, and I was like, "Right, if we could get one other 4 hours member on this,
It's on.
Yeah, it's on." And Verb T loved the
Big
beat,
up
so
Verb
Verb's
T.
jumped on it, like. Hit him with the shivers and the goosebumps. His
Yeah.
flow is just like Verb. I've listened to Verb's whole catalogue.
Just his tone.
His tone is incredible. I've listened to his whole catalogue. Like I've even stuff I missed along the way. Because obviously I'm a Verb T fan, but I did miss a few albums along the way because he puts out so much music.
Yeah.
I went back and listened to the whole thing after that verse. I've listened to everything he's ever done. And that guy, madman with a pen. Madman.
And Fliptrix as well. I mean, he ain't pulling no punches on that
Fliptrix is
fucking
like-
verse.
Yeah, Fliptrix set it off, you know what I mean? So
Man does his account, he don't fuck about. Go on.
yeah. But yeah, just to rhyme with those guys. I've got like, you do sometimes music is like, sometimes you do things, but a lot of the time, most of the time, it's purely for the passion and like. That particular record is like to rhyme with those guys after listening to them for so many years and having such utmost respect for them was amazing, man.
Yeah, sick. Well, we got Fliptrix on the line now. Flip, how you doing, my brother? Tell us the story of how you got involved in the album and how this whole thing came about from your perspective.
Yeah, so man, with the high caliber lineup on the album, I wouldn't say there's any like specific considerations that I needed to work towards in terms of my feature, but obviously just bring my absolute A game in it and do my best, do my thing, do me. But yeah, man, it was great. It was a great track. Great to collaborate with Harry on that, and yeah, man, legendary. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, my first encounter with harry-shotta's work was probably many moons ago, probably on the wave in a rave. You know what I'm saying? Probably him just shelling it down to some drum and bass. It was a long time ago, so I can't quite remember, but either that or just on YouTube, man, probably early SBTV days. But yeah, I've been familiar with his work for a long time and always admired his skill and talent on the mic, man. He's a lyrical beast, you know what I mean?
Big up Fliptrix and all the crew that are jumping in today. Really appreciate it. Nothing but vibes here, high focus podcast. And yes, inside we have the mighty Harry
Inside.
Inside. It becomes very easy to say that when you're sitting next to a hip-hop MC of such calibre and legendary status, my friend. And it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I don't want to leave without getting into one or two more tunes.
Yeah, man, you heard the album, so you kind of like let me know what you want to talk about, man.
Yeah, you deserve it. Because going back to my original point of the golden thread that is fundamental throughout the album, that to me came across as a very personal shout out.
Yeah.
To personal family.
Because exactly, man. Because when you're writing in the sense of like, right, if I'm gone tomorrow, I'm not being morbid, but I'm saying if I'm gone tomorrow, this is what I want to leave behind. These are the messages I want people to go back and listen to. You know, I want people to put this album on and be like, oh, that's what he was about, okay. And family and having a son or a daughter as well. I mean, I've got a son, but having a daughter, a son, or whatever, man, is like that's life-changing business, man. That's like that is an incredible change in your life. All of a sudden, you are so responsible. In the early days of, getting that little tiny soul through those early stages of, feeding and like then going on to food. Like the parents will know, man, it's quite daunting at times, you know what I'm saying? Because there's so much responsibility suddenly on your shoulders, but there's so much blessings that come with it. And then as they get older, it's like, how are you going to navigate them to be a good person and like teach them about kindness and about sharing and about all these things as they navigate through school life. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of weight on the shoulders, but the blessings and the love you get back from doing it is incredible. So it was an ode to parenthood, that particular song, it was like, you know, I just want people to know that a huge part now of why I'm out on the grind and while I will do 10 gigs a weekend if they're on the table is to provide some sort of, you know, generational wealth and something I can pass down
Generational
to my
wealth, you
son.
see.
You know what I mean?
I was thinking about this the other day, actually. I think young people who come up with their family, who are breadwinners through the creative arts, I think I'm a believer. I hope it may be the truth that I think their perspective on arts is held with a lot more appreciation and weight because they know that this art form helped provide them with something.
Yeah.
And when you're the breadwinner and you're able to provide it, and the gifts that have been given to you, and have been, you know, foraged within a scene, that's rare, man. That's rare.
Yeah, I mean, and I think also as, you know, young people who have grown up with people, say, in the industry, they also see the work that goes in. You know, like, Daddy might be away for 2 weeks in Australia because I've got a tour to do. Do you know what I mean? And that's hard, like, to especially for a young mind to
tempting
kind of
fate right there.
to kind of deal with. But,
Real
I had to do that. I had to go away for 2 weeks to Australia. I've done it to New Zealand. I've done it, especially in the early years.
And how's that received?
Harder.
How's that received from a family point of view? I mean, how's that dynamic? How's it affect the dynamic?
Yeah, it's tough, man, because, like, you know, you are away, you want to be there, you always want to be there. You know, your phone, my phone's not off now, it's on silent just in case. You know what I'm saying? Like, you always need to be there, but it's like you also have to think of the bigger picture and provide for the family. And the way I provide is through the bars, the music, the lyrics. And so if there's an opportunity to go out there and bring the music to an audience, which will increase streams, which will increase notoriety, which will increase fan base, which ultimately goes back into paying for swimming lessons and trampoline club and school clubs and, you know, living in a nice house, you know what I'm saying? And you know, he loves Adidas, so yeah, you want the Adidas trackie, that all has to be paid for, you know what I'm saying? So, like, all these kind of things, you know, there's an understanding that for the greater good, the physical presence might be removed for a bit, but as soon as it's back, and it's, you know, like, you know, fully there and fully dedicated and fully functional.
Some
do you know
Clark
what I'm saying?
Kent Superman shit. Right?
It is a bit like that sometimes, man, and I've always been a bit like that with even before the family thing, man, just like separating stage from life. Like, so on stage, I'm a beast, bruv. I'm trying to be the best. I'm trying to, like, murder the mic. I'm trying to, like, absolutely destroy the stage. I'm trying to give the crowd the best experience they could ever have. Do you know what I'm saying? But what I do is I leave the ego on the stage. That comes with me on the stage. Let's not get it twisted. I am trying to be the best. I am battle mode. I am all of that. You know, I was raised in hip hop, so of course I'm going to be like that. I'm still competitive. But I'm not competitive in the way where I see someone doing something good and I hate on it. I see someone doing something good and it inspires me. And I think, oh, let me try and do better than that. Even though that was great, I want to try and do better than that. Not hating on it, loving on it.
Which is part of the leverage of hip hop in general.
Exactly, it's what it's all about, man. So, but what I've always been able to do, luckily, and I've seen some people not be able to do it, is leave that sort of character on the stage and walk off and still be humble and still talk to people, take photos, catch vibes with people, and be able to go home and just be normal, as opposed to go home and being this crazy character that's like on the stage, but not off the stage, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and it's a rocky road sometimes, but you know, it's something, if you learn to navigate it correctly, it will benefit you as an artist, man. 100%. Because you know what it is like, man. There's some artists, the buzz of being on stage is such an intense buzz. It's such an incredible buzz, and what you get off the audience, that when it comes off, some people, like, they feel very they find it for hard. Yeah. It doesn't continue
to
off the
declimatise,
stage, which is why you get after parties, which is why you get people then getting on substances and drinking and everything.
Which is where you come. This is a good segue. Which is when you come to the Wild Bunch, which is another tune on the album.
Yeah, because we can get wild, man. But I always say everything in its place, innit? Everything in moderation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my vibe, man.
Well, Wild Bunch definitely depicts that, and the reason why I pick on this particular tune is because you got two prominent producers on one tune.
Oh yeah, we got Leaf on the rhymes.
Yeah.
And we got King Kashmir on the beat, man.
Which for majority of the album, that made a unique proposition. Big up King Kashmir as well. We got him
large up King Kashmir. Man. You want to hear some new bits I got with him?
Really?
We ain't stopping now the album's done. It's like trust me.
The trouble ensues.
Crazy track with him.
In fact, we've got King Kashmir here. So King, tell us where you're at, what you're doing, who's with you, and the story behind the tunes.
So the way me and Harry started communicating was literally through the process of making this album. I think the way it went down, Flips sat down with Harry and was like, yo, you know, who do you want beats from? And Harry mentioned me amongst, you know, a whole bunch of dope producers, so that was an honour. But yeah, prior to that, we hadn't met. Obviously, there's been a long-standing admiration for what he's doing in a DnB scene, and obviously back in the day with Lethal and Destruction. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just really dope to be part of this album and sort of him coming back to his hip hop roots for this, you know. So yeah, it's definitely an honour and a privilege as well, man.
Big up King Kashmir inside the house.
What a guy, man. Super talent, man. Incredible with the beats, dope with the rhymes. You know, when they hooked me up with him, like I say, him and Leaf, they was like, you know, the blueprint for everything else, you know what I mean? So shout out to them guys, man.
A lot of those hip hop beats that are on the album, they took me back to Pete Rock.
Yep.
Pete Rock.
Beat Miners.
Beat Miners.
Yeah, back to
Q-Tip.
the early days.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to do initially with the album, innit? It was make this like kind of like classic
sound.
Classic hip hop sound, you know what I'm saying? Which is what High Focus excel in, so which is why we made it a classic marriage to do it with those guys, man. But obviously, you know, it kind of evolved into other bits as well, man. But that was the initial thing, so I'm glad that kind of resonates with you like that, man. Yeah,
blatantly. And then the title track, Odyssey, with the mighty Terry Walker.
Big up Terry Walker, one of my
drum and bass
favourite people,
flex.
man. One of my favourite people, like.
Amazing human.
Oh, she's great, man. Like me and Terry linked up at we did a was it Rampage? I think Rampage and Heartless Crew actually. They did like a Christmas special or a New Year's Eve special. They had bare artists coming true, and I was in there. They didn't put me with the drum and bass guys, you know what they're like. They put me with like the grime guys and the garage guys, which was fine, man. I was down for that.
Come in, let me have some.
Yeah, so I was MCing with Creed and some of the So Solid guys and all that. And I came out and I never met Terry before. Actually, I met her very quickly with Jumping Jack Frost, but not properly. Do you know what I mean? And she was like, "Whoa, like you're bad," like, and she gave me so much love and so much flowers. I was just like, to hear you say this is incredible because. You know, not only the early stuff she did back in the day and all the, you know, the features she's done with people over the years, you know, albums I really love, and Children of the Zeus.
Crazy. Children of Zeus.
All of that. Zeus, you know what I mean? And Ty and everything else.
Ty, rest in peace,
But
Ty.
I also particularly love the Champagne Flute stuff she did with Salam Remy on a personal level. I bumped that thing, yeah? That's personal music that I love. So when someone you've actually really listened to and actually like had on rotation comes up to you and gives you your flowers, and she was giving me so much compliments and so much love. I was like, please, when the right record comes along, I want to holler at you. The Odyssey came along. I thought, to me, that's what I kind of work in bookends. That's like the last track on the album. It's either the last or the first. And because My Feet Up came first, that's more like I'm easing in. We've put My Feet Up.
It's perfect.
I thought, right, Odyssey is like, that's the statement at the end. I'm gonna recap everything and, you know, basically break down why I made this album, why it's the Odyssey, where I'm going to, the journey, you know, like, you know, it will never be the same, but through the music, I let go of the pain, letting go of certain losses and certain traumas and things, putting them all through the music, letting them go as therapy. And that's what that record was about. And she just came through, man, with the soul, you know what I mean? We actually recorded that one up at Logic Studio. So shout out to Logic.
Yeah, hold tight,
Logic. Yeah, Logic brought a wicked vibe that day. We had a lot of fun in the studio. We caught a lot of jokes, and it was just, and she nailed it, man. I think she wrote in the studio. She had a few ideas, but she wrote in the studio, and I was just like, boom, that one there. You know, I wish we could have kept all her ad-libs, because like she just comes in with the gold dust, man. Like it's like, you know, you could probably make about 5 tunes with Terry in one session.
She's dangerous and a great presenter as well. The night she does at Chip Shop, etc. I mean, this girl moves. She's moving.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this album when you think about it, like that. Yeah, it's my album, but we've got some real legends who, like I said, have building this brick wall of foundations that you've got people blowing massively, have built massive parts of this foundation, from Spider to Terry to Flip Tricks. You know, I can't say everyone's name, man. P Money, X Man, because there's so many people, but
there's a lot of collaboration on this
album. Crazy. One collaboration I'd like to mention as well, a mad one, you know, was basically the Farmer G produced track. With Graph, before we finish up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, again, me coming as a guy who listens to Griselda and a lot of independent American hip hop and Benny the Butcher, to get Graph on the album. Yeah. Graph's an MC I consider one of the top 10 greats of all time.
That was such a surprise within like the third track, because okay,
we're
really moving the dial a bit. And big up Farmer G, of course.
Big up Farmer,
on
man.
High Focus.
Yeah, man, absolutely killing it. So. So that beat there was incredible. And then Graf reached out to me, another one who reached out to me during lockdown, because I think people had a lot more time on their phones and stuff, and he saw some stuff I was doing. He said, I'd love to work with you.
Fantastic.
The verse was there, he did it. So yeah, again, to work with it was like I'm saying to you about working with Fliptrix and Verb T was such an honour. To work with Graf is a similar thing for me, because to me, I've listened to his albums, I've studied what he's done, I've studied his whole catalogue. So for him to jump on my project and be a part of it was blessings, man. Do you know what I mean?
Sick. Well, you were, you've always been called out, and people revered, and collaborations, and wanting to, you've jumped on so many things over the years. And again, Odyssey, epitomising this moment in time for you.
Yeah, man.
Let's get into some quick fire question mode.
All right.
Let's go straight
Let's do it.
Okay, favourite High Focus album?
I was thinking about this on the way up because I know you was going to pull this on me, and it's Natural Order, man. The 4 Hours. I think that album. Even now, when you listen to it, it takes you back to that time when that album came out. There's some great records on there, man. Like there's some great feel-good stuff. The way they was all trading verses. The full 4 of them, man. Like when you think about it, like BVA, Leaf Dog, Verb T, and Fliptrix coming together, contrasting styles.
Crazy.
It all sinks in.
Yeah, it does.
And that album for me is perfect, man. So that would be my High Focus top album, man. 100%.
Beautiful. Favourite MCs in 2025?
Right, this is harder because I listen to so much stuff, and it's like I can't just say one, so I'm going to say 3 favourites, right? And I'm going to break it down into categories. I think P Money right now, time to give him his flowers, man. The man has come true on grime, blew me away back in the days with the OGs and all the stuff with Teddy Music and all that, and I was a huge fan from day one. And how he's evolved even through dubstep, and now the stuff with P Money and the Whiny, and the way he's slotted into the drum and bass scene, the way he's presented his shows. I think P's shown a lot of people how to do it, man.
Nice,
he's shown a lot of people how to do it. He's grown his YouTube channel, even on a business level. He's grown his YouTube channel, so when he releases his videos, incredible amount of subscribers. He's still got the team around him, Blacks and Littles and all the gang. Do you know what I mean? So I think P is up there for me.
The whole dubstep era.
He's evolved and gone through it.
DJ and production.
And that's what Skibber did. Skibber was always able to evolve and move on, like, do you know what I mean? And always be on the next thing. Like, if you look at, Skibberdy was fire when he came out, then it was 2 times freestyle with Det. Big love to Det, each and every.
Big up Det,
And then obviously it was him and Shabba, SAS, and then it was Uncontrollables. And then I came into that, and then it was SAS, and he was always moving forward, and that's something I think P Money has done as an artist.
Elevation is super important, isn't it?
So that's my first pick. I'm going to do 2 more.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm saying Chip, because I think what Chip's done on his new album, I don't know if you've had time to listen to it yet, but I think what he's done with grime is something I've tried to do with this album. He's made his ultimate grime album. And because he's come from grime and he's made so much other music and gone to America and everything else and really proved himself, I think what he's done on this new album, I think people take time to listen to it. They'll hear like someone totally in his lane, which I love. When an MC gets in his lane, I absolutely love it. So I'm saying Chip for this year. I'm saying Chip, I'm saying P Money. And the other MC I'm going to say is the Fly Hooligan, because I think in that lane, unmatched, unparalleled, every product, every project he does is absolute joy for me to listen to.
Spoke to the wire proper.
He is a rapper's rapper.
He's a
and I've had bare conversations with him. He even come out with me one time to a few drum and bass events, and he's someone I respect highly. I respect his pen. I respect the way he puts out his music. I respect the productions. Everything about him. He's just top tier. So those 3 for me: the Fly Hooligan, Chip, and P Money.
All very well thought out artists.
Yeah,
in their craft.
right now. And next year there's going to be someone. That's how it works. But right now they're my favourites, man.
Yeah, and they got the legacy as well.
Yeah.
All right, top 3 producers in 2025.
Top 3 producers, right?
Yeah.
Well, considering who I'm gonna take 3 off the album, man, and I just think right now, I think Forest DLG, the sound he's bringing, for me as an artist, is perfect, because I like to blur genres. I like to do different BPMs and tempos, and he's down for that. So me and him are on a similar journey.
Nice.
So Forest DLG, definitely, and on the total other end of the spectrum, Leaf Dog, because I think that sound, no one can do it better than him. Like the Ransom Bad Bones album that just dropped recently is just incredible. I've been blazing that, and that to get that sound and do it so well in this period of time is incredible. So
so prolific as well as a producer. Jesus.
Yeah,
his work rate is crazy.
Well, I've even got a concept for the next album of it being like a double album, half boom bap produced totally by Leaf Dog and half like hybrid produced by Forest DLG, because I think they're both just tick amazing boxes for me. You know what I'm saying, as an artist and what I want to express. Outside of the camp, let's go with someone who I think has been absolutely incredible, Alchemist, man. Alchemist. I need an Alchemist beat, man. Shout out to Coach Bombay, shout out to Rome Streets, one of my US connections.
Make it happen.
I need an Alchemist beat, man.
Kids.
Yeah, so we go with Forest LG, Alchemist, and obviously Leaf Dog, man.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Favourite era of hip-hop?
90s, man.
90s,
man.
90s
Like
all
we
day.
touched on it briefly earlier, but that was teenage years for me, and that was a period where the feel of it, the vibe of it, the filtered B lines, the beat miners, the Black Moon, the Black Sheep, Yo MTV raps, you know, watching these videos come out, watching the Choice Is Yours, Black Sheep for the first time, Engine, number 9 on the new. You know what I mean? Like
How many MCs video? With
I could talk about this for a long time.
I know,
90s hip hop. We
It's
could do a whole podcast on 90s hip hop, but you know, and that was also a great era for the UK as well. Look at Mark B and Blade and Task Force and
bro.
what those guys were doing at the time. Like that was like, and Kalashnikov. That was different times for the scene. You know what I mean?
and all those guys.
Big up Jest as well, man. So
Big up
90s for me, man. Yeah.
All right, favourite era in drum bass then?
I can't define it by years, but I'll tell you it was when I was going out, like, and just raving, like Bagley's, Stratford Rex, MC Convention, Skibber Shabba, Debt, Fearless, the Bad Company tunes. All them Bad Company records.
I know.
Oof, Moving Fusion.
Crazy.
You know, Adam F, Brand New Funk. You know, that era of just of the sound and like, it was amazing, man. Raves like Transmission, you know, the early innovation in the Suns over in Spain. Everything was just brand new and evolving and just so organic, and you know, music moves on, and obviously now drum and bass is huge, which is incredible. But back then it was a little bit more underground, and you had to search out for things a little bit more. And yeah, that era. I don't. What is that era? The 2000, probably 2000s. Probably more 2000s than 90s for me, drum and bass. So it's probably more like 2002.
Ed Rush and Optical.
Ed Rush and Optical. Come on, don't even talk about Ed Rush and Optical. That was mad for me when I first started.
Wormhole figure.
Oh mate, when I first started doing drum and
Changed
bass,
my
that was
whole
one of
game
the
on
maddest
beatbox.
things for me. Like going to places like Germany or whatever country and meeting Ed Rush.
Yeah, that's
And
mad.
being like, we was bumping your shit, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
on a fan level.
Because they got global. That's the era where drum and bass went global with different subgenres.
Exactly. Because back in the day, you'd go to a rave and it'd be Brocky, then it would be Ed Rush and Optical, then it would be rap or whoever.
Yeah.
It wasn't so like now it's more like Liquid, Jump Up and everything else, man.
But
But
still these kind of lanes that were happening all at once, and it became like a whole package.
Exactly, man. And, but I say, like, meeting people like them and Dillinger, like, Dillinger to me is like, if I had to say one drum and bass producer is my favourite, it is Dillinger. And then just meeting him and seeing how humble he is and what a cool guy he is.
He's different. He's just a
Have you
different
interviewed him
world.
yet?
No.
That'd be an interesting one.
That would be a good one.
Because he'd have lots of stories to tell,
Come on,
man.
Dillinger, you know what to do. Come on, cuz. Come on. Don't let me keep on chasing you.
And this is the thing, you know, as you go through this journey and, you know, ups and downs and everything else, because, you know, I've had a long career now, you know, and that's why this album's the Odyssey. But, you know, meeting people like Dillinger and him showing love and then him getting me on his tour and stuff and doing dates on that's the get back and the love you get from what you put into the music, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Lastly, give me one artist to look out for in 2025. Outside of Harry Shotta, of
to
course.
look out
Jesus.
for. Right, I will say there is a young group, a collective that I'm working with very closely, two MCs who I have noticed along my journey. One of them is Wiser, who I think,
Big up
you know,
Wiser.
I think she excels as an MC. I think her flows, her patterns, what she does with her pen is not heralded enough. It should be put in a much higher regard because I am the most critical guy out here. Like I, you know, as much as I will do workshops and help people at all different levels, when it comes to like if you're at this level, I judge a certain way, and I think she's one of the best in the game, man. So Wiser, and then there's a guy called Tiny K who I noticed. She actually showed me his stuff, and I was like, wow, he's incredible. So I thought, let me put together a little unit, a little collective to kind of, you know, work with the youngers a little bit, because I think as you develop and as you get older, it's important to stay tapped into that young energy.
Pass the torch.
Pass
Keep
the
it moving.
torch, man, and give them some of the gems, and then at the same time they'll give me gems. You know what I mean? They'll teach me stuff because they're of a different generation to me, and they will bring stuff to me that I might not be so on.
Which is so important.
So important. And then a part of the collective is Iron Lung, who, like I mentioned earlier, he recorded nearly all the vocals for this album.
Yeah, big up Iron Lung.
Big up Iron Lung. He's
Some people
you know,
say that.
I've known the guy for years, and he's a great producer. producer, and he's the in-house producer for Triple Threat, which is the collective I'm talking about. So I'd have to say, man, watch out for Triple Threat because, you know, those guys are getting better and better. We're on the content. We're constantly pushing stuff out.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting time for the group, man. So watch out for Triple Threat, man.
And then you got Roadblock, of course.
Can't forget the Road Blizzy.
The Roadblock. On cuts on the album as well as myself. And
Oh
we've got-
yeah, cool. Come on, that was important for me to bring all the family in. Like that's why Shabba and X and you and Prime Cuts and Screw Fizzer and P Money. These are people like that have been a massive part of my journey and are like family and friends in music. There's other people I work with for the first time, which is great. I'm not on that no new friends vibe. Let's bring more people in. Do you know what I mean? But it's important for me to have people like you, Spider as well. Spider will get on the phone to me and just like for years he'll say like, you know, you need to get a studio in your yard with the amount of work you put out. You need to get a laptop, and he just randomly ring me and be so supportive and give me my flowers and say, oh, I love that strings thing you did on SBTV. And people like that, I wanted them on this album.
You need that in your life.
Because people like you and him have been a huge part of, you know, the journey and the journey continuing because, you know, everyone gets their days, good days and bad days, innit? Must be why we drink and bill it. So, so to get people like you, Spider, and a lot of the other guys on the album always showing love and giving encouragement has been why I've just constantly been able to keep the output going and keep the energy moving, man.
Feeding the machine.
Feed the machine, G. Exactly, man.
An absolute warmonger of an MC, a militant operator, stringent within the culture. You are the one-stop shop for MC culture, a danger to any MC, and a soldier in the field. I've never known a human like you, my friend.
Oh, big love, man.
And for it to be the Odyssey, the album, High Focus Records, go cop that. Remember, only 350 copies.
350 of them blue ones,
Yeah, and if you're late on watching this, then you're late on catching a copy, you understand? There's the mug, that's the front cover. You know what to do. Harry Shot, it's been an absolute pleasure, my
It's
brother.
good to talk, man. That's what it's all about, the conversation. Big up Killa Kela.
Come on, son. It's the High Focus podcast. This can be first of many. We're going to be here on the channel doing it for you and yours. If you want to check more from Killa Kela, it's Killa Kela Podcast over on Street Culture YouTube. And until next time, people, enjoy yourself. Remember, crime don't pay. Neither do they. Don't talk to an I wouldn't. You stay lucky. Easy.
Peace.
Yeah.